I call this meeting of the Northumberland County Economic Development Commission to order at 6 o'clock on June 17th. We have a quorum. We've got 3 of our 4 commissioners here. And our first order of business, we have a special guest.
Yes. I think we agreed to make a motion to allow Robert to participate on one, so we should make the motion.
He's not a commissioner.
He's not a commissioner, that's the
Yeah.
commissioners.
He's not a
Oh
commissioner.
my God, I'm suffering an identity crisis. All right.
Thank you, though. So we have a special guest. Drew, can you please introduce our special guest?
I'd like to introduce Mr. Keenan Allen from the Talent Development Coordinator for the Bay Consortium Workforce Development Board. He's here to talk about the Career Advancement Resource Education Project he's overseeing with the Workforce Development Board and Go Virginia Region 6, focusing mainly on manufacturing and agriculture sectors, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much. Now, I want to start this brief presentation. Do you mind passing?
Yeah.
With these, right? So, make a little point about the importance of talent development and make sure that you have the right talent for the job. I want you to open up your brochures, please. What's wrong with it?
It lacks talent.
Are there like 6 or 3 that we have to find? Because I found 2.
Listen, there's everything that's wrong with it. Well, first of all, I think what's nice is the layout, the design, right? All of that's put together well. However, it's upside down when you turn it over, right?
Yeah, it's funny.
And it doesn't fold right, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're welcome. All right, I did that on purpose, but not so much on purpose. And so, but when I made these, when I printed these out today and I folded them, I said to myself, I said, this is exactly why you need the right person for the job. I wasn't hired to do this, and it's obvious, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in a macro scale, right? In the bigger picture. If you have somebody where you need a technical skill to do something and they give you something like this, and let's just say that it's not a brochure, but it's something of more import, that would be a problem, okay? So I am the Talent Development Coordinator for the Bay Consortium Workforce Development Board. And I am the lead person on what they call the CARE project, which is Career Advancement and Resource Education. And so I just want to go through what that means. It's a 2-year grant that is funded by Go Virginia Region 6 and the Bay Consortium. And it was based on a study that was done by WorkEd on behalf of the state to look at in-demand industries in Region 6, with the exception of the Eastern Shore. So we're talking about the Middle Peninsula, the Northern Neck, and the greater Fredericksburg area or George Washington. All right. So what they found in this study were several things. One, we have a shrinking, a very small talent pool. Either folks are too young, they have aged out, or they're undereducated, underskilled, okay, in these areas. The other thing is we have mostly small and medium-sized industries, businesses, right, which have a hard time competing with the larger firm, right? And so what we have is an exodus of talent, because the talent that we do have is traveling outside of the region to work, because it makes dollars and cents. And so how do we help the smaller and the businesses that are here compete? Because that's the problem, they can't pay what they pay. And so we need to be able to find a way to help them out on different levels. One, to identify what they need as far as workforce, to align, excuse me, the education and training that we have with what they need, and to find talent and not discriminate on where that talent is or what that talent looks like. So we're talking about non-traditional talent as well. Okay, so we're talking about women in non-traditional positions, talking about returning citizens, you're talking about English as a second language, you're talking about just
People with disabilities.
people with disabilities, all of these as potential workforce. Yes, sir.
I think you've already answered it just shortly after I was gonna go for it, but there's, from a non-traditional perspective, there's folks that have been underemployed for a lifetime. So they're a little bit older now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also folks that their retirement plan wasn't there to kick in for them, and they've got issues as well. I'm assuming that those folks are included in your spectrum of.
We're looking at the older population too. We're looking at everyone because there's a lot of different reasons, economic and as well as experiences to why we don't want to turn our backs on anyone in the population. Because to tell you the truth, before I started this job, I was working for the Department of Corrections and Workforce Development. And what my job was the last position I had with the DOC was working with Warsaw Probation and Fredericksburg Probation, helping those probationers get jobs. And there were very few employers who would not accept a returning citizen or justice-involved person as a potential employee. There were certain crimes that they didn't want to deal with in the background, but they wasn't just saying no. But there was a time when it was like they had the luxury to say no. Well, that luxury doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so just put my notes here. So talent pipeline management. So this isn't just they hired a guy to come out and do this job. They did that. I have 20 plus years of experience in workforce development. The last major thing I did before the Department of Corrections, before I moved to Virginia, you probably can tell that by my accent that I'm not from Virginia. I'm from New York City, but I spent a lot of my time in Western New York. And I worked for the city of Rochester, New York, and I developed and managed the Bureau of Employment Opportunities there, which I was working with difficult to employ populations and helping them get jobs. So it's a similarity to what I'm doing here. Now, what we're doing is we're using a platform that was created by the United States Chamber of Commerce called Talent Pipeline Management. And I had to go through training for that when I got this job. The Talent Pipeline Management is a international model that's been used. It's evidence-based, and it's been used throughout the country, and it's been used from localities to statewide. Matter of fact, the entire state of Illinois is using Talent Pipeline Management as the model for fixing their pipeline issue. So that's what we're using here. And we're focusing on, as Mr. Basie said, 3 industries, and that's in the Northern Neck and Middle Peninsula, it's aquaculture and manufacturing. And in Fredericksburg area, it's manufacturing and information technology. That's the other ones. And so for our interests here, manufacturing and aquaculture. And we are not addressing this from an employer. This is employer-led. Let me say that that's very important. This is employer-led. So it's not an outside entity saying, hey, we want to help you. This is what we're going to give you and do for you. This is a model where I'm convening businesses to work as a collaborative to identify their common pain points when it comes to their talent development, their pipeline, and to identify what their priorities are as far as the skills needed, the positions needed, so on and so forth. Okay, so just for just to throw out numbers in simplicity, here are the three things that we have in common that we need to address. We're gonna focus on these three. We're gonna deal with these before we move on to anything else. So what does this take with these three? What is the problem? Is it upskilling? You need to upskill talent and backfill them with entry-level talent. Is the source of your talent not sufficient? Basically, are they not producing what you need? Is there are they underskilled? Is it external things like childcare, education,
Work ethic.
schools? Whew, I was going to get to that.
Oh, I'm glad.
One pain point I think they all have identified is just that work ethic, some basic common sense. I call it common sense, but just skills, life skills.
Yeah.
And you can't manage your life. You don't come to work. You can't produce. You know, and then there's turnover. You leave. You got to find someone else, and so on and so forth, and it never ends. Or it frustrates you because you don't feel confident as an employer, especially a small employer, to leave the site to do anything else because you have to babysit people that you're paying. Okay, so all the plethora of issues, they identify what it is they want to tackle. And so I'm the convener, I'm the executor somewhat, because there's work that the employers have to do. Okay, because they know this is data driven. They have their data, and I bring in the other data that comes outside of their organizations. We take all of that information, and then we say, okay, so how do we want to address this? What's most important? What credentials are important? Does a person really need a degree for this job, or do they just need a 1-year certification?
Or just a heartbeat.
Or just a heartbeat, a strong back and a good work ethic.
Right,
You
the
know?
willingness to learn.
Yes. Depending on the industry, it could be just that. I was speaking to someone in IT, it was like, I don't think, in IT, one of the things that they're dealing with, especially when you're talking about data centers and cybersecurity, is they're all government contracted. The government wants them to have a bachelor's degree. The employers are like, that's unnecessary, but they can't get around it because the government demands it, right? But you have these other firms that are able to say, well, we don't have a government contract. All you need is this 1-year credential, the certificate, and you can start making $75K, and we'll upskill you. You'll be, in a couple of years, you'll be making $150. You know, it's just that simple. And it's out there, and if you know, along the 95 corridor, they're just doing nothing but building data centers. And so these folks need a plan to get the right people there, and then that's what it's about. So once the employers identify what their needs are, credential-wise, skill-wise, in every level, soft, hard, whatever the case may be, experience. That's always a problem, and that goes back to when I was looking in the one when we use newspapers, and you look in the lawn ads and they say experience, and I used to say to my mother, "How are you going to ask me for experience?" And no one, I'm 17. What experience do I have? How do I get experience for the job, right? Well, internships, apprenticeships, work-based learning. That's one of the things that we can do, and we want to start early. We want to go into middle school, start piquing the interest of children so that they can do things. If they have a focus and an idea of what they want to do in life, then they're less likely to do something stupid to keep them from being able to do it.
We're trying to go in elementary school. We're trying to do some career exposure in elementary school.
But that's necessary. And then you have the myth or the change of the industry where manufacturing always seen as dirty, mud, soot, just, stinky, whatever. Man, those places are pristine. You know what I mean? They are. You could eat off the floor in these manufacturing plants. And to bring people there, the tours, having tours to introduce them, to show them that, listen, this is clean work. You don't have to break your back anymore. This is not your grandfather's factory work anymore. So all of these things to do to develop the talent. And so we're starting early because the first thing about development is someone being interested in doing something. Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what the process is? So for example, we've been trying to do some different discovery with different industries, right? We've heard from some of the different industries, some of the pain points they have. I don't know how much data some of the businesses here will have, right? Because you're familiar with the area, it's just a lot of small businesses. If you were to convene her, we had Dr. Jenkins down here.
Okay.
To come, she did her workshop in January, right? So we've worked with some of those folks to get people certified in that realm. We've had Jacob McHale has come down here and worked with us on the job fair. So we're getting more exposure to your resources. If we were going to have you come down here and do a convening of businesses, like what does it look like? What do you do? What do they expect to get out of it? Like how does that work? Can you talk us?
Great question. So, and it's a partnership. So it will be an introduction to the process and being upfront about the amount of commitment that is required. Excuse me, because this will also need to be, other people within the organization would have to play a part. Because the owner of the business may not have the data that's needed. That may be a human resource or have that, accounting might have some of that information, whatever, because they have to provide what the hiring and the loss and the who's projected to retire, all these things, the projections that businesses take into account and for their planning. And then we take all that data, and then the external data, and we bring it together. So basically, let them know upfront that this is a process. This takes time. We're looking at the whole initial process takes about just maybe less than a year, but it's going to take a few months. It's going to take several meetings. It's going to take a commitment, but to identify the return on investment, also to see what it is that it's costing you to have to continue to hire people and all of
So
that.
pick on automotive for a second, because one of the things that we've heard from some people that own automotive repair places around here, like you can't get the owner of the business to come to an event because if they're gone, right, there's no inspections, there's no, like, you can't get people, you can't hire people to do inspections because they don't have the credit rating. For some reason, there's like a requirement for credit rating. So if we wanted to get, and I'm just picking on one industry, right?
Right.
Like if we knew that we had 5 or 6 automotive repair places around here that wanted to hire more people, I don't know how well they could participate in an event like that. Like what could we do to facilitate some of that data gathering so that they could then maybe work with the tech center? Like how would that work?
Well, the way the model is that it comes from them internally. That information has to come internally. Now, if they wanted to outsource your help to help gather that information, that's something they can do. Understand that every meeting is not going to be a physical meeting. We'll do virtual meetings as well, because right now I can't get aquaculture together because this is the height of
Not
aquaculture season.
now.
So I'm trying to get aquaculture together on virtual meetings, roundtable, just to get them in. I've made some headway with manufacturing. I do have some partners because we have to have at least 2 lead partners. And the whole point of the 2 lead partners is to help be advocates and ambassadors and to bring others in as well. And to, but the whole thing is to bring this collaborative together to identify what. First thing is, what are your pain points? What are the common pain points? Okay, let's break this down as to what positions there are. Now we have established the common pain points we want to address, the positions that we want to fill that are our priority, critical positions, right? Now, let's have a common language. Because now, what I mean by common language is when you have a job description, that job description, we have to go through that and make a uniform job description, because now it needs to be something that all, let's just round number 10 employers have the same job description for that position. So now they'll have more people there, and everybody could have somebody have choices based on the same criteria. Also, not to have unnecessary requirements or too high of requirements because you limit your pool. Too low requirements, you get a bunch of people that can't do the job, just anybody that comes in. You have to find the right amount of requirements in there to get optimal talent, qualified talent. Now, what credentials do they need? What is it? Do they need a credential or not? Well, for those that do need credentials, where are we going to get our, what is our source of talent? Is it the community college? Is it from CTEs and vocational schools? Is it straight out of school? Is it, where is the talent from? To go to them and say, and let them know, this is what we need. Oh, you have a great program for machining, but we don't need that credential. That's not what we want. That's not what we need. And so to get education and training, to educate and train folks based on what the employers need, so they're actually developing the right talent. And four, there's a crossover here. The employers cross over with education at some point, because the employers have to go and be part of the recruitment, all right, and the talent development. That's where you get your tours and your school visits and your feds. They have to come over that side. But then education has to cross over also, because now that I have talent and I'm bringing people in, what about the talent that I currently have? I need to upskill these people to move them on and backfill the positions with more entry level and create the process that can continue to happen at whatever pace. Because another thing that's happening is there's a lot of people who are aging out. They love the job, they do the job, they're ready to start working, and they're hanging on just because their loyalty to their employer, and they know that they need them. But they're only gonna hang out for so much more time. And so we have to find someone to come in, mentorship, to mentor the entry level, to get them through. And this is where also we have community-based organizations that can provide some of that training. There are community-based organizations that can address the soft skills issues that are lacking. So it starts with the employers, finding out what the employers are, and then going to the stakeholders in the community to address them. So even if it's childcare, is a big deal. So what are we gonna do about childcare, right? Are we going to contract with the childcare provider that may will take on
No, we have
the
to
people
build
that
one.
we have? Or are we gonna, allocate space within inside our buildings, or get or do something to provide childcare? So what does this mean? Employers are gonna have to invest some money, right? Now, whether that investment comes totally out of their pocket, or there's some foundation or some local or state money that helps support. But the whole thing, we have to have everything built and then go to the stakeholders and say, these are the things that we need. This is the education we need. These are the other barriers. How can everyone help to address the issue? And then let everyone know what their return on their investment is. A higher tax, more people working, more people paying taxes, the employers paying more taxes, whatever case, revenue for the state, revenue for the locality, for the town, revenue for the county, revenue for the state, so on and so forth, as well as stable communities, people working, people thriving, businesses growing. Eventually, now we know this doesn't happen overnight. We're talking about years of things, but we have to get the talent pipeline moving. And so I hope that answers everyone. And so it starts with the employers, then we go to our stakeholders. So we go to education next, and then we bring in the other stakeholders as well. I'm coming to you early on in the process. Why? Because I don't know, I've been reaching out to a lot of different people. Some people can give me access to people, speak to employers. Some people, not so much. Whether it's bringing them together so I can meet with them and do a formal informational about what we're doing, or just meeting with them one-on-one. And get them to buy in. Yes, sir.
Keenan, when you do this, do you make the assumption that the labor pool does already exist and it just needs to be coaxed into the right direction? Or do you go back before that and figure out, is there even a labor pool that can do this stuff? Information technology, great example. I mean, you're doing it in the Fredericksburg area, which makes perfect sense. Not a chance here.
Right.
Not a chance in hell. You know that. But take it a step further. I mean, manufacturing. If you came into Northumberland County to do this, would you make the assumption that the talent pool is here?
The study that was done says that the talent pool is small, but it does exist.
Okay.
So it can always be improved on what it is.
So you make the assumption before you go in that there is at least a primitive amount of talent pool available.
Yes,
Okay.
this thing, if we have kids graduating high school every year, they're not going off to college somewhere or whatever, we have a talent pool for that are
Entry level.
that entry level
Right.
right away. And then the people that do go on to college, how can we get them to come back home?
Yeah.
You know, and that's another part of it.
Yep.
And so we have to make the deal sweet enough for them to want to come back home, the opportunities here for them to want to come back home and to work. And so, you know, that's why we're starting at middle school with, you know, introducing things to kids. We haven't started these things yet, but Giles, Scott, who works for us, he works in the school with career exploration.
Doesn't he do all the VR stuff?
He does the VR
Yeah,
stuff.
I want to get him down here so bad.
He's great. And so we have, you know, Virginia Economic Development Partnership. They are looking to pilot a program with schools. They're doing it out, I think, in Fredericksburg, but the whole thing is to see how that works and then replicate it throughout Region 6. So there's different things that are happening because I understand that we have to get to the students and we have to develop the students.
To that point, I've been personally involved in funding some stuff over at RCC around all of this stuff too. I think in the trades area, I mean, that if you look at the real needs for this community, because it's such an elderly population like me, people who need help with their homes and everything else like that, the trades become really important. But it isn't clear that there is a natural pipeline from the schools. And I talked to the folks at RCC, they said they don't rely on the guidance counselors because they don't think guidance counselors know what the hell they're doing very well. Now, I may be speaking out of school there, but I mean, you know, the trades are not explicitly covered in here. I mean, is it because they're all small mom and pop operations that don't get into hiring? Talk to me about that, because in this county, the need for tradespeople is super high.
So the thing is, we need enough people, enough squeaky wheels. So when I speak to the
So you need
colleges,
candidates.
So when I speak to the colleges, and ask them why do we have this or why we do not have this, it's because there haven't been a great enough demand from industry for it, and that's why the collaborative is important. Because if you have a sector saying this is what we need, well then the natural thing to happen or the practical thing to happen is that education provides what is needed. But if they're not hearing from education that we need this specifically, then there's no justification for them doing it.
Yeah, chicken or egg thing, yeah.
But in a way, it's an aging in place issue, and I'm not sure, I think what part of it is also the desire, and I think one of the things, people may intuitively know if you're an electrician or you're a welder or a plumber, you're gonna make money, but you have to start your own business, or you have to go work for somebody. And one of the things that I was just telling this to John, we've tried a couple of times to get some different things happening in the county. We've got a Business and Heritage Expo that's coming up this Saturday. The idea was to partner with Farmers Market to make sure people coming to visit at the farmers market, whether they live here or not, see if this is a great place to live, stay, and work, right? We went to different businesses and they couldn't come because if the owner's out of the shop, then there's nobody that's gonna be there. Or they thought it was a great idea, but they really didn't know how to go about showcasing what they do. Right, so we know we've got a demand for childcare, we know we've got a demand for aging in place services. Are there assets or resources that can help in starting your own business? And I'm not talking like, you need to have a PhD in starting your own business, but giving people some confidence that if they want to venture out and start a business, they can do something. I mean, in January, remember we had the event with Antoinette, and we had people signed up and some of them didn't show, some of them couldn't make it. We had food, we had everything. It was just a matter of they couldn't get out.
Well, specific to what I'm doing, I'm not looking at that part.
Okay.
However, I do know within the throughout the Virginia Works Network, there are resources and there is help to guide people toward that. But I can't speak to that specifically because my assignment is
That's okay.
it's industries, is 3 sectors in a specific locality. But I do know that there's a place for skilled labor within manufacturing. If you look at carry-on trade, they need welders, right? This is not necessarily skills trade, but it's a skill, CNC machining, right? That's needed. We have a partner who will probably be working with RCC to train people on that. So there's these connections that we're making to develop this. Now and that's the whole thing about getting enough people at the table. If we have enough manufacturers at the table that say, I need welders, I need this skilled labor, I need that skilled labor, then that becomes a pain point, or something that we can identify as a target, and then we can do something about it. But again, this is employer driven, so the employers have to say, this is what we need, and then that's what we'll go after.
Gosh, you're taking up a lot of your time.
Do you work with employers to look at their entry-level staff to help them motivate the entry-level to where they don't see them clogging the workflow there, the pipeline, so much as not even just looking at it as a step ladder, but looking at it as a career and an extension ladder to get where they want to get in life?
Well, we're at the beginning of it, but I would think that if that is an issue, then that will be something that we would do something about. Right? Right now, I started in February, right? And so what is it?
3 or 4 months, 5
4
months,
months,
whatever.
right? So I'm just at the stage now where I'm having my first manufacturers meeting, okay? And so I'm right now creating the agenda for that meeting and getting the data I need to start working. But just because I'm having that meeting with the manufacturers, I still would like more companies, businesses as part of this collaborative. And so it's not a closed door. So I'm looking for that, and also a way to get aquaculture to meet with me. I have one aquaculture partner, but I need a few more.
Yeah, now it's gonna be tough.
It's tough. And I said if I could get you,
It's in November.
right, that's what he said. But it's gonna be tough until November. But if I could just get you on a Zoom call for half an hour, I'll bang it out. I could just send you some information and we can work. We can be creative in how we exchange information. But nonetheless, that's what we're doing. And it's a 2 year initiative, and the whole. I like how I met with Gary Wilson over in Caroline, and he said, so our job is to make sure this thing works, so that you step out of this and into a permanent that's picked up by the collaboratives. And I was like, that sounds really good. That means that it worked. So really, it's just the help that I need from you is to point me in the direction of employers that I can speak with. Even more powerful is you introduce me to employers because they know you, they don't know me. And I can invite them to the meeting that we're having, and then they can decide whether or not, they're interested or not.
And right now, this one's for, right now it's manufacturing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay, and the employees they have to pay,
Yeah,
you have to pay people,
right.
you
Well,
know,
but
because,
we have to find ways to help them. So there might be some ways that we can supplement, like not we, the consortium, but there may be programs out there where they may be able to supplement, pay for a time, for a certain amount of time as they go through the entry level period or whatever the case.
Things
yeah,
like-
like,
Job training grants, stuff like
Yes.
that.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
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 Something, but we do have
Department of
to
Labor has.
make it a sweetened deal, so people, because if you have to think about it, I traveled to Stafford to work, I hated it, it was a long drive every day, If people are willing to do that,
Yeah.
then it must be worth it,
Mhm.
right? But we have to make it where it's not worth it.
Well, and then you also have different, I mean, we've talked to some people on here that came back because the quality of life was better, right? It wasn't as costly to live,
Right.
and they found that there's a lot more things that they could do. So, I mean, there's that kind of attraction. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
For coming
time.
out
I'm sorry,
here.
I'm taking so much of your time.
No, this was great.
So,
Yes.
It's all good.
I'm sure we're gonna talk to each other again.
I'm gonna leave you my card and.
And some more of these funny brochures.
Yeah. I don't want you to have to keep going back and forth upside down. I'm gonna fix them. I put it, I said to Jackie, you all know Jackie. She's the executive director of the consortium. I said, Jackie, I said, this is why you didn't hire me to do this.
It was a great intro. It's almost like you did it on purpose.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you. And if you have any ideas or thoughts to help me to do what I'm working to do, please, I'm open to listening, to learning, to take your ideas. But yeah, if you can put me in touch with anyone, that would be great. The meeting that I have scheduled right now is July 7th. And it'll be right there in Warsaw. And,
Okay, manufacturing, okay.
and so, have folks
Wow.
contact me or just, email and introduce, or I'll come and meet with them, it's not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us.
Enjoy your evening, the rest of your evening. and have a good
Okay,
evening.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, agenda review. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, done. Review of the meeting notes. They were posted. Did anyone have any concerns, questions, or comments? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from May.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any particular commissioner corner items?
I'll just assume I'm first because it's all, you guys
Yeah, we
are.
just gotta go clockwise.
I did speak to another business owner, and amazingly, as last month, the notion of business partners or people within the community getting together and doing something is amazing, because here's Keenan talking about something very similar, and I think I'm gonna have to pull that thread a little bit more. Second item is on the bylaws that were posted for this meeting. There's some phrases in there that I don't think are quite right. and
The
I don't-
bylaws?
Yeah, the bylaws are the supplemental information posted on the county website for this meeting.
For this meeting? Our bylaws haven't changed.
We'll have a separate discussion.
What am I missing?
I went to the county website today, to the Economic Development Commission, and there they were.
Right, the bylaws, I have, the bylaws for the
Supplemental,
commission.
as they were there as supplemental information for the meeting.
Well, there should be posted for supplemental information because I wanted the bylaws posted.
That's, okay,
Right.
that works.
Yeah, because I wanted people to be able to see what they were. No one knew what our charge was.
So is there a point at which we're going to put those bylaws under review for,
We did that last year. I'm happy to do it again next year.
that would be
We've
awesome.
done it 2 years in a row now at the beginning of the year, and we haven't had a whole lot of impact in what we want to change. And that was part of what we did with our strategic plan. We looked at the bylaws and so, and no one had any big changes that they wanted to make,
But
so.
It's just interesting. I just happened to read them again today because, I read them before too, and I saw this one thing and it kind of stuck out like a sore thumb too.
Yeah, we had the offsite we did where we went through that whole process,
recall that.
so, probably next January again, if we want to look at it, we can, absolutely.
That would be awesome.
Okay. Melissa? For your particular district, anything?
Nothing for mine. I just wanted to add what the gentleman was just saying about this workforce and things of that nature. And it has to be, we have to have something for them to do. And of course, I feel that the employers, they have to pay. You have to ante up. You have to come up with it. And unfortunately, a lot of them don't want to do that. They don't want to pay for the services. And that's an issue as well. Because if you're gonna pay, a certain dollar amount, you're gonna get fraction. But when you don't want to, and when you have, what was it, Buc-ee's coming to Virginia?
Buc-ee's is coming to Virginia?
Yes, it's, Buc-ee's is coming, was it Buckingham, Virginia?
Must be Southwest.
South of Petersburg.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but look at what they're paying.
Oh, yeah, Oh my
Look
God.
at the salaries at Buc-ee's.
I know.
So if they came even closer, our people are gonna go, hell, I'd be a general manager over
No
there.
kidding,
What's
for
it,
what they pay?
225?
Yeah,
But look at what this.
And they do their demographics, so they're gonna get the money out of what they're paying.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. What this super convenient, I call it a super Walmart, super gas station or whatever it is, but it's,
very scary.
they're paying and that's why they get the people. And they're coming to Virginia. Here they come.
Hmm.
The end of June, they're opening up their first place.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay,
So they have to pay. You have to pay to play no matter what, Because if you get, the certificates and the skill sets and even from the welders, and if you're not paying, they're going out on their own and be entrepreneurs. Simple as that. Yeah, okay,
I got nothing for my district.
okay.
All right, executive director items, I don't know if Robert had anything, or if he can,
Bob, can
I'm
you
not
hear
sure if
us?
he's in a position to ring in, or, I know he's online, but I didn't know if he could talk.
It's on mute, isn't it?
Yeah,
Not raising his hand.
okay,
He did, add a few comments. He was mainly just gonna talk about the, golf tournament coming up,
Mhm.
HAGA.
yeah, I got that one.
EDC participation will be needed from 12 to 2 p.m. on the 23rd. And we will be co-located with the Compass. And,
But I think for Monday, the 23rd, we're covered, because he's gonna be
Right.
there and I'm gonna be
he
there.
said no need for additional support
Yeah.
other than.
I mean, if anybody wants to stop by,
Exactly.
but I'm gonna go as the chair, and then also because it's in my district, so I'm just gonna go and make a presence, but he's gonna basically man the
But
booth.
if anybody else is planning to come by, let Bob know so he can contact Steve Matheson, I think so you say his name, so he knows who to expect to.
Oh, okay, and I have to confirm with Bob the time, because I thought it was before 12, but that's fine, 12, okay,
His email says 12.
okay.
Okay, and that's the only time we're there is on that Monday?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's it, unless you're volunteering, but I think that's the only time that we're there is that Monday for check-in.
okay.
Well,
Well, I guess they don't need us anymore that week, do they?
no. No, so it was a lot less than what I thought.
Okay.
Anything else on him?
That was everything
Okay.
he had in his comments.
Say
Alright.
something, Bob.
Now it's up to you, you're up.
I'm good.
Okay, good.
I'm
Okay.
good.
All right, current projects, I got quite a few, so. On Saturday morning, the Eastville Farmer Market, the Business and Heritage Expo, there was also an ad in one of the local papers, or the local monthly paper. So unfortunately for the Business and Heritage Expo, we did have one that dropped out, one is still a maybe. We're gonna end up with, we have Maycorp that has said they would be there, the YMCA said they would be there, the Boys and Girls Club is already gonna be there. And we're gonna be there, so unfortunately, it's a much smaller showing than what we originally thought, but at least it's, I guess we're gonna get it off the ground. I do need to talk to Bob, I'll have to send an email after this, because the EDC table, we were gonna have, the flyers we had developed based on the last meeting, we had posted online, that info sheet, so Bob and I refined the info sheet, so it's one page, it's just gonna be one page, we're just gonna print some of those up. They were gonna be available at the table both for the golf tournament and Saturday morning. I've got my name tag and business cards, you don't have your name tag yet, did you send your picture in to Mary? I don't think so yet. So go ahead and send your picture in so we can get your name tag. I've got my name tag and business cards, and I'll have to make sure I remember to bring those, so for both Saturday and Monday. I plan on being there Saturday around 8, the logistics sheet that we sent out, I told everybody they could start setting up at 8, farmers markets from 9 to 1. Again, I don't know who we're gonna have there, but I'm gonna go, Bob was working on getting some signage. So I'm gonna follow up with him to make sure we've got that, so we would have something, I don't know if we've already got a table, they're not setting up anything, so if I have to bring a table, then I have to schlep one from home.
And just let me know and I'll bring one.
And then, okay, well, you know what, if you could bring one, and then that way you
I-
can break it down,
Right,
because I have to leave like
Right.
right at 9 to go to this other thing, so, okay, you can bring a table. Bob was working on getting us like a little sign made, and then the handouts. And I have tried a couple of times to reach out to the chamber, I think it'd be great for them to be there. One, I wanted them to send out the information to their businesses in case anyone wanted to be there, but I also thought it'd be a good event for the chamber to be at. I've not yet heard back whether or not they can make it. So the first Business and Heritage Expo may be a very small event, but at least it's going to be, I guess we'll have that done. The schedule for the golf tournament, we just talked about. Saturday, we just talked about. There are a couple things Bob had put in our share space, the Main Street proposal he talked about. I'd like you guys to look at that and like to get some thoughts on it from you. I'm working with Bob, we're gonna start doing some analysis on businesses, et cetera. At the last board of supervisors meeting, one of the supervisors mentioned that they wanted to make sure the EDC was present for the next board of supervisors meeting because they're gonna be talking about excess county property. And if they're gonna talk about that, then the question will become, is there things that we can do with the property? Like we talked about the courthouse, making it just like a tourist site, et cetera. So I will not be able to be at the next board of supervisors meeting. I have a conflict, so I'm just telling everyone now.
when is it?
It's second Thursday in July.
Okay,
So I guess 10th?
Yeah.
10th, I think.
July 10th,
I think.
it's 7 o'clock, right?
No, 5:30.
5:30.
Okay,
So part of the analysis that we're gonna be doing, this is all the, it's basically, it is the 10th?
Yeah.
We're basically gonna be redoing, we talked about in our strategic action plan, several things we were gonna be doing. We were focusing on the workforce first, which we were doing. With the Heritage Expo, with the 2 job fairs that we've had. I'm working with Bob, we're gonna get the analysis again from the Commissioner of the Revenue for the registered businesses. We're gonna do a year-over analysis for registered businesses, which is completely different than employers in the county. So we're gonna pull the data from the Bay Workforce Consortium Group to see that, to see year over year what change there has been. And Maurice, I found this in the paper, and I know you're kind of our grant guy. There are some different tourism grants that were given out. I'd like to make sure we can apply for these next year.
Okay,
So I'm gonna want you to try to work with Robert if you can, and make sure that he's got that list. And basically, like Compass Entertainment got $5,400, Maycorp got $5,400. Chesapeake Gateway Community, or the Essex County got $8,400. This is all about bringing tourism, et cetera. So part of the things that
let's
we're.
see if that looks.
Yeah, here, go ahead, have your article. Part of what we talked about, we had that lady that was gonna put together the mural for the bookstore
Yeah.
or whatever. If we wanna have one of the county properties become a better tourism site, we use some of the tourism money from, rescue plan to re-gravel, kayak, we used it for the brochure. So I think probably, based on everything that we've done and talked about, tourism is essentially the biggest bang for the buck for increasing county revenue in terms of sales tax and other visitors to the county. So I think what we need to look at is the Main Street proposal, the grant for the Northern Act 250. We found out about that a little bit late. What projects would we want to seek a grant for, which if we try to do this thing at the poorhouse, that are tourism related and are also workforce development related? So we've got some assets for workforce that can come in free of charge. It's getting the businesses to the table. I know it's a little bit tough, but if we can't even find, if we've got restaurants that are opening because they can't find a manager, there's no point bringing in 4 more restaurants if they can't find people to work there and manage. So I think we're firing on a couple cylinders related to that. My challenge has been, we had our strategic planning session, we had our strategic action plan, and I just feel like we're not hitting concrete successes. We're holding events. The data will show if there has been an increase in employment in the county. It won't be because of anything we've done. It will be because people wanted to come here, and I'd like to see what those businesses are and why they chose to come here. So Robert's gonna be doing some data analysis. So hopefully we'll be able to have that. I don't think we'll have it for the July meeting. It's probably gonna be in August when we have that. So that we can take a look for what strategic actions we'd like to take. Take a look at the ones that are on our list that we've done, and take what else we need to look at. And then on our list, what specific projects for which we'd like to seek some grant assistance. So I think that's all. Feels like I'm missing, the bus tour guy I haven't gotten back up with. I don't know. I don't think there's anything there we need to do. I haven't been attending the VTOX meetings, so I don't have anything to report on that. So I think that's it for current projects. All right. Any new business?
Let me just build.
Oh, wait, sorry. Wait, one more current project. You made me think of it. Thank you. The mapping. Sorry, the digital mapping. I am hell-bent on getting a digital map of the county zones. And I'm not beyond pressing on that at the Board of Supervisors. I think that is super important because at this point, we can't point to anyone and say, if you'd like to come do business here, take a look at what's available. You have to come to the courthouse and see the zoning map. And I know, Drew, that you've been working with the county, and every time, we've been asking about this for almost a year, and every meeting, we're getting there. So I plan on having this presented to the Board of Supervisors as one of the key initiatives that we'd like to see accomplished, so we can get a deadline and get it done. So just heads up to whoever's working on it,
Stuart.
it's gonna go public. I don't understand, I realize that sometimes things take a little while, but this needs to, we've been talking about this for a long time, and I don't understand. If there's anything I can do to help, I'm happy to do it. Like if I need to scan something or do something. Okay, so now.
Well, speaking of Stuart, so he's about to have a little bit more time on his hands. The drafting of the comprehensive plan should be largely finished tomorrow at our meeting tomorrow night. Public hearing would be July 22nd, moving on to the Board of Supervisors. There are actually a few things for you all in it. Maurice has been working with me quite closely on a number of different items in there, including the courthouse thing. So there's actually call outs. We've changed the format of the document, so certain recommendations are called out now. And a number of things, particularly around economic development things, where you guys are specifically called out in there. So
Can we see it?
you can see it after tomorrow, yeah.
After
So
tomorrow.
we'll get it online as quickly as we can.
So we kept it top secret for me. I got it in pieces.
Yeah, it's all,
I just wanna make sure it's stuff.
it's so long that we broke it.
Oh, I only wanna see our part.
Well, that's the thing, it may be scattered in a number
Okay.
of places, mostly in the fourth, chapter 4, right, now, as I recall, public facility.
I think 1, 3, and 4. Well,
No.
That's okay.
not really 1.
Tomorrow's
Not really
fine.
1 because that got repurposed. 3 and 4 for sure. I think there might have been 1 or 2 things.
Okay, anyway, so then the Board of Supervisors probably won't take it up until September, because I won't be at the August meeting. There's gonna be one other thing in there of interest, and Maurice and I worked on this together a lot. I created something, and this actually goes back to that research note from Gardner I shared with you right after I started participating in this. It's something called Pillars of Community Growth. And it talks about quality of life, workforce, infrastructure, and the overall government, tax regime, the regulatory stuff. And then in each one of those, there's a number of variables listed. So what we did at the very back, again, this hasn't been approved yet, but there'll be a new Appendix B that says, here are the 4 pillars, here are the 24 factors that contribute to them. Here's a tear out sheet, rate them how you think this county is doing in those 24 things from 1 to 10. And we're gonna I'm gonna ask the Board of Supervisors to do it themselves too, to see if there's a gap between where they think we are and where the community thinks we are. But the main reason, and says this right in the document, the main reason is because we have so little money here. If the board wants to invest in something, where's the low-hanging fruit? So this little survey is going to be a more interactive kind of activity than the planning comprehensive plan has ever had before. So keep an eye out for that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's great. Wow, thank you.
It is kind of awesome. It's a rather thorough questionnaire, if you will.
Only 24 questions, yeah.
Thank you. All right, that was new business. And we don't have any citizens here for engagement? Okay, good. Anything
Are they
last?
online?
No, we don't do
I
it.
think-
Oh,
All right, any last thoughts? All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
second.
All in favor? Aye, adjourned at 6:55.